And now recognize the Vice Chair of the committee, Ms. Lesko, for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Sherman, have foreign governments obtained data on American military veterans?
I don't know. I can't say decisively one way or the other. I think the question is about risk, right? And risk always is a matter of possibility. And if this much data is this available, and we've seen brokers sell it in other cases where it's harmful, there is a real risk here.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman, do data brokers advertise to prospective clients that they have personal information on U.S. military personnel?
Yes.
And what kind of information about U.S. military personnel do they advertise?
You can essentially purchase anything we've mentioned related to members of the military. That could be health data, that could be political data, that could be data on children in the home, that could be marital status, location data even.
Thank you. To any of you, we have passed out of the House last Congress a data privacy legislation. We have heard from some business sectors, including small business business groups, that they are worried that there will be unintended consequences, that they will lose business, and so on and so forth. Do you have any recommendations, or do you have any concerns about that, or have recommendations on how we can structure the data privacy legislation?
I think that size thresholds can be helpful. However, I also think that there are good reasons to still place obligations on even small businesses to appropriately protect individuals' information. Cambridge Analytica was a very small entity and was able to do a tremendous amount of harm. So unfortunately, it is an area that just needs responsibility.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I would just add, it's important to keep in mind, like, the internet is a remarkably innovative place with low barriers to entry, and that will continue to be the case once federal privacy legislation comes into existence. It will remain an innovative, good place for businesses to go and build their business. And we have, I think, at Mozilla, a huge amount of respect for the innovative capacity of the internet. And you can take a big hammer to the internet, and it's going to keep going. So I think those arguments are a little bit overstated, frankly. And like I said, I have a large amount of confidence that that it will remain an innovative place for businesses to engage.
Good. Hey. Mr. Sherman, I like your idea to ban sale of location and health data at a minimum, and also ban selling data to foreign entities. I think those are, and I may be wrong, but it seems like a more direct way just to protect very sensitive data. I do have, since I have a minute and 40 seconds left, I have a question for you if you know the answer. So, when you use Uber, as most of us do in Washington, D.C., you have to turn on the location data, right? And so, do you know if Uber sells that data, the location data?
I do not know that. I will say this is a challenge with tackling this issue, is lots of apps don't really share data. They just want to keep it to themselves and use it for, as you said, business purposes for what they need it for. Others share it all over the place, and sometimes it's hard to tell and get more transparency into that ecosystem without regulatory levers to crack it open.
Yeah, I often get these apps that it might pop up and say, this will share data and have access to your camera and your files and blah, blah, blah. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, well, if I'm going to be able to use the app, I kind of have to do it, right? And so that's the problem, correct?
Yeah, that is one of the problems with brokers claiming that they have consent for some of the information that they have, is that as a practical matter, folks can't do that. I would also just add about the location data point specifically. In the example that the chairman gave about a bird watching app, If that app is advertising driven, then even if the app developer itself is not selling location data, if the app is sharing location data with an advertising entity that is also present on the app, then that entity could be sharing location information. So there are multiple ways that location information could go from your phone through an app to another entity.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back now.